Thursday. We're coming to you this week in the morning, which is like I think our first morning webinar ever, Victoria. So it's an early day for me here, I feel like. How are things in Columbus?
I know. Good. We're getting a little bit of snow, you know. It's like I kind of live in Alaska now, so.
Well, we're sweating here. We're like dying in Dallas. So it's been a busy few days, and we have got a major feature launch that we've been working on for quite some time. And ironically, this came to us from a customer who had a specific need and asked us to build something. And we kind of took this idea and we changed it quite a bit, made some tweaks and different things. And I think what we produced is a pretty cool feature that you guys will find a lot of value in. And so we're going to spend this next hour together, maybe less depending on how fast we go, on service verticals. And this might bring up a lot of questions. So we're going to do our very best to explain it to you the best way that we can. So it's very understandable. But in the meantime, if you have questions, you know how to do it. Excuse me. Put a chat in the little chat box, and it's a Q&A, and we'll be glad to get those answered live. So let's see here. We are, I think, ready to rock and roll.
Let's do it.
Excuse me. I'm having like a cough attack over here. Okay, Victoria, so we're going to start with what are service verticals, which I think is the unknown, this like kind of relatively unknown term that we've been using. So we've kind of coined it that ourselves, but to give you guys an idea of what this actually means, it's a grouping of services. So we're going to think about grouping things together like for like. They share some similar feature or function or thing together so that on your calendar they appear organized either by function or by the provider's view, so he or she can see their day, or lastly to help your patients excuse me, with a curated booking experience so that as they click on a link for something, they only see what you want them to see. So really 3 different functions here, either to organize your calendar view. Let's say as an admin, I want to see my OR versus my clinic appointments, or to give your patients a curated booking link, or just to organize your provider's day between, let's say, virtual consults and in-practice consults. So it's really just a way to organize things that make it easy for you as an admin and as a provider and as a patient to get just what you want quickly, and not have to go through the entire booking list of services and different things that you have options, to book within a clinic. So that's kind of at a high level what that is. And Victoria, help me clear that up because I may have mucked that up totally, but give us what you think this is at like a elevator pitch.
Yeah. So am I echoing on your end?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, we're good.
We'll ask our participants. Is she echoing participants? Let us know if she is.
Oh yeah, let us know if our audio is not so great. But yeah, so to kind of just touch on service verticals, so there you can kind of keep it as on the surface as you want. So it can be easy peasy, or you can kind of not complicate it, but you can do a lot of really, really cool complex things with service verticals. But I think really as a baseline, if everyone that's joining the webinar today, as long as you understand that it's just a grouping of services, just keep that in mind as we work our way through the entire presentation today. And I think that'll really help you even curate some different verticals for your own business as well. But we have quite a few examples to show you, so we can move on to that.
We were up late last night building things for you, so we hope it.
We were so excited though, because we are just ecstatic.
And we've tested this thing about 4 million times, so it ought to work when it gets to you. But this will launch, we believe it'll go to production over the weekend and live on Monday. So this is like your precursor, you're dipping your toe in the water. So if you look at the screen right now, this is an example of how this might work in a day-to-day clinic operation. So you see really 3 verticals, if you will. We have vertical 1, your facial injectables, and that would contain things like lip filler, cheek filler, under eyes, toxin, anything that's like a facial treatment. So your second vertical will be body contouring, which could be a combination of, I think we've got sculpture buttocks, so BBL. We have coil sculpting. We could have, I was on the 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀 webinar last night. It could be 𝗵𝗀𝗧𝗵𝗀, but those things that deal with the body only. And then lastly, your spa services. So you could do your facials, your hydrofacials, microneedling, dermabrasion, whatever those things are that are specific to the spa could be their own vertical. So if you had this set up in your clinic, to kind of jump ahead a little bit, as you look at your calendar, let's say I'm the provider, I would see in my calendar my overall appointments for the day, like all 25 of them, but then I would also see a breakout of which ones are facial injectables, which ones are body contouring, and then which ones are spa services. So I get an overarching look at my day and where it's going to be organized. At the same time, I could also send to a patient just a booking link for those spa services, or just a booking link for the facial injectables, so that as they book something in my clinic, it shows up in that vertical on my schedule. So we're going to go through what that looks like in real life in just a minute, but to give you an idea, once you do that, you have now these 3 different verticals within your one calendar, and you get the same kind of thing for all. You get a column on the calendar, like I said, so I can see my body contouring. I can also get a customized booking link, as I mentioned, to send out to patients. This is just the body contouring link. And then I also just get this easy view organization, so as an admin, I can see across the entire vertical of my clinic today, how many of our appointments are for facial injectables, how many are for body sculpting. So I get all these different things as a standard offering for each different vertical. No matter how you set it up or the reasons why you're setting it up, what it creates for you is going to always be the same kind of thing, the same kind of end product. So I'll let you take that one too, Victoria, and see what you think on that.
Yeah. So I think, I'm really, really excited as we work our way through just to kind of float some different ideas past all of you. So, Tiffany and I have been with AR for quite some time. So we've heard, feedback on, oh, I'd really like to customize what my calendar looks like and how things are color coded. And so I think, from our end, we're just very, very, very excited to bring you guys really a full way to customize what you're actually seeing on the calendar as far as, color coding all of my laser services, or, just really being able to view those in a specific way. So we have quite a few examples that will kind of get the wheels turning for everyone. But yeah, we're excited to kind of jump into it. And I think we can, we'll move on along
here.
We've
got some examples.
So
go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So a couple of examples here that we'll kind of work through. So if you are, now I'm choking over here. Tiffany and I are on the struggle bus this morning. I'm kidding. But so if you think about, the COVID era that we're in, if your medical spa has started doing medical services or just primary care items, things like that. And let's say that you do all of this in one office, but you'd like to view your calendar in 2 different columns. This is a great way to accomplish that. So as you think about seeing all of your medical service, appointments kind of color coded, and then all of your cosmetic also in their own column, if you will. Another big example that I think this will be really kind of a top hit with a lot of our clients is going to be separating out your different service types. So you could build a vertical for injections, for example, or injectables, and that would encompass, all of your dermal filler appointments or toxin, et cetera. So when you look at your actual schedule, injectables would have its own column, so you could easily see at a glance, here are all of the injectable appointments I have today. So similarly, as we look at laser, spa services, and body contouring, it's that easy view of being able to know, visually, here's exactly what I have. And a couple other examples that we have listed. So, you could have a column new patient versus existing. And this is all going to be based off of how you build your services initially, but we'll take you through that. And another big one is appointments by room. So I've had a lot of questions on this one, over the last couple of years, and being able to color code by room or being able to view your schedule by room, service verticals is going to allow you to customize that view so that you can, essentially view your calendar that way if you wish. So we will take you through that as well. And then just as we look at treatments versus follow-ups, quick view on the schedule if you'd like to visually see how many follow-ups do I have today versus how many actual treatments do I have. And that's also a great way to, take a view as far as a revenue indicator. So that for your follow-ups, you're probably not bringing in any revenue, but for your treatments, you are. So if you are, a practice manager, that's just kind of another checkpoint to see a check and balance, if you will, where the schedule's at, for the day. But Tiffany, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, we're going to go into these in really grave detail. So we're going to talk a lot about each one of these. But I think that this new versus existing patient is really interesting because we hear a lot about paperwork. Like, I want my new patients to fill out all this different paperwork than my existing patients. So the example would be if you have on your schedule just like Botox, for instance, toxin, then no matter which patient type comes in, they get the same paperwork. So instead, you could build the services separately for existing versus new, and add different paperwork for each. And so if a new patient comes to your website, you have a curated link that just says, new patients start here. And that could be the consultation, that could be getting the good faith exam kind of built into that. That could be your new toxin, your new filler, your new microneedling, your new laser, whatever that is. But you could have a new patient booking link that you have embedded in a call to action button that's just for new patients versus your existing or returning, I really am going to die today, which would be a different link entirely. So we're going to see these in action because I do think it's important as you think about your website. We hear a lot about, I want to customize my website experience the way that XYZ system does it. Well, the way that our system works, it's not going to accomplish that goal for you because we don't break things out. However, now we can at least break them into subsets so that as you go to the body contouring page and they click to book, they just see body contouring services. So we can make that customization now, which I think for a website UI, or user experience, user interface for the patient is a really neat change. So we're going to go through a couple things that you should be thinking about as the patient experiences this. So the question on the screen is, how does this impact the patient? And the answer for that is you decide how you want it to impact the patient. You can do this entirely on the back end. So Victoria comes into my practice on the online booking link and she books for Botox existing patient. She has no idea what a vertical is and she doesn't care. When I see it show up on my calendar, she's automatically placed in that vertical for me. I do nothing extra. I know that when that's booked on her end, it comes into my practice the right way, it goes in the vertical, and none the wiser. So in that case, the patient experience is nothing different. They have the same experience they've always had with you, nothing changes. At the same time, if I run a clinic that does medical and aesthetics, and she's a medical patient coming to my clinic looking at the medical side of the business, when she books for a medical virtual exam, and she clicks on that, she's going to only see in my booking link there the medical services. So she's not going to see Botox and filler. She's going to see, or my allergy clinic, the allergy services. So I can then separate out for the patient what they're interested in seeing into different links. So in that case, the patient experience is a much more segmented idea of, I'm going to see the things that matter to me most. I think about dermatology. If you're doing medical visits versus cosmetic visits in dermatology, very different things, right? Insurance bill, high churn in the day versus, a longer filler appointment. Those can now be two totally separate experiences for the patient who's booking. And then next, which we think is really cool, and we're going to show you how to do this in a second, is if you want to use, let's say, Instagram for your referral source, you could put in your link tree just an Instagram-focused treatment group or treatment vertical that's just about Instagram. So if they click on that link in bio, they only see the Instagram version of those treatments, so that when it comes onto your calendar, you see that today you have 16 Instagram referrals on your calendar. So we'll get you to that in just a little bit too. And then also, as I mentioned, for your UI on your website, you can book now things in little segments. So I could book literally body contouring section, injectable section, medical section. I have these little custom links for each to embed, which can be across clinics in my office or across services or a combination of both. And we'll see that in a second. And then lastly, if I'm doing an event, and this one to me in our industry is massive. If I'm having a holiday event, let's say it was Black Friday that we just obviously went through in November, I can have a service vertical for Black Friday only. So when I send out my newsletter, my promos, my text campaigns, whatever I'm sending out, the link that the patient receives to book something is already tagged to that event. So they're not going to be booking regular Botox, they're going to be booking Black Friday Botox. So that on my calendar I can see that these patients who booked today, these 25 patients, are all on a promotional spend. They've either pre-purchased it or they're buying a promotion to come in. That way also, if they come back in like 6 months from now, I can see in 6 months that they're an actual prepay patient. They've already paid, so they're like a no revenue patient unless I make more money by like an upsell or cross sell. For like an injectable day, if you want to have patients who are coming in for regular procedures and your injection day for, let's say, Wrestling Kiss, I can now separate out Wrestling Kiss injection patients on my screen versus my regular patients who are coming in for other things. And we'll also see that in just a second. So lots of things you can do here. But here's what you got to know before you begin. And pardon my beautiful chart that I made for all of you. I know it's an eyesore, but I couldn't think of a better way to do it. So across the screen you have 4 different verticals, and this is where the wheels kind of fall off. So if you're going to listen to anything that we say today, this is the place to tune in. On vertical 1, so the thing to note, verticals can include multiple clinics and multiple services. So if you look at vertical 1 right there, I have clinics 1, 2, and 3, and services 1, 2, and 3. So the C is clinic, S is services. So in the vertical 1 scenario, I have lovely lines, beautiful aesthetics, and I have our virtual clinic, 3 clinics. And then I have services that they all 3 can offer. So some might offer all, some might offer a couple of them. And under that one vertical, I can have all those clinics and all those services. That's an easy win. We're good to go. Now go to level 2, vertical 2. What you can't have is the same service for a clinic living in 2 different verticals. So you see here on service 2, it has a big red X on it. I've already got service 2 inside of my first vertical. I cannot put service 2 in my second vertical, because here's what happens. Think about it this way. If I go to book for that existing patient Botox, we have no idea which vertical you want us to put it in. If you have 2 both in the same vertical, like both services in 2 different verticals, when I book for Botox, the system goes, does she mean vertical 1? Does she mean vertical 2? I don't really know. So we have to eliminate the confusion. We have to say that Botox existing patient only belongs to vertical 2. So it's always in the right vertical when you enter it in. The third thing here, vertical number 3, you can include the same services as another vertical as long as the clinic is different. So think about what I just said on vertical 2. I can't have the same service in multiple verticals, but I can if they're different clinics, because each clinic has its own sort of vertical map. So if I have service number 2 in Lovely Lines, but not Beautiful Aesthetics, I can now make a vertical with it in Beautiful Aesthetics, because I can share the services amongst different clinics, just not the same service for the same clinic in 2 different verticals. I can use the same service in different clinics in different verticals. And then lastly, for vertical 4, if you're going to build these off of your existing services, remember that we're just passing that direct information through to verticals. So if you've built your RF Genius microneedling treatment as a service to book, it's going to be that exact service that comes through on the vertical. So if you wanted to use the same service in different verticals, just change them up. Call it RF microneedling existing patient, RF microneedling new patient, or make the name a little bit different, IG referral versus just, Botox patient, IG Botox patient. So you can make things have a little bit of a nuanced change so that when the patient gets that curated link, they have the right service in there for that vertical. So don't feel like you're going to be hamstrung to say, I only have one microneedling appointment service. Well, change it up. Have microneedling, new, microneedling existing, so that you can put them in different verticals if you want to. So there's different parameters there. So if you want to change the timing, the providers, any of those things that you want to change for just the vertical, you have to go back in and make a new service, because again, it is going to be a direct pass through of what's already built that's going to show up in the vertical. So it's a lot of kind of nuanced things there, and as we build them, it's going to make a lot more sense. But if you take a screenshot, this is the one to take to remember kind of what the ground rules are. Just always know that you can't have the same service across multiple verticals in the same clinic. It's just not, you're going to get a little error that says, can't do it, try again. So you're not going to be able to actually do it, but just know it's not possible either. So Victoria, can you make sense of any of that I just said?
No, I think it's perfect. And I think that we'll connect the dots for everyone once we get into AR and actually, get our hands on building the verticals. But I think it makes perfect sense. So
okay, we're ready.
You nailed it.
We're ready to go. We're going to do it. We have 3 to show you. We've built 3 different vertical types for different clinics. We're going to go by service type. We're going to go by room, and also by the kind of revenue. So we have 3 very different examples to show, and I'm going to switch on over. So let me swap my screen here, and we will get going. Okay, I think we're back up, JT. And again, I'm driving this week, as you guys know, is never a good idea. So I'm driving, but we'll make it work, because Victoria's going to help us as we go. All right, so just as a general rule here, it's going to be your similar workflow that you always use. So if I'm in my system, I'm going to my appointments tab, as you always would. And as you see right now, I have my basic view. And just to give you like a quick sneak peek of what it would look like, we'll go to it more detail in a second. But if I were to click my verticals view, I now see my lovely lines. And can you make this full screen, JT? It may be a little hard to see. I see my lovely lines, my injectables, facials, lasers, consultations. So I now see this breakdown of my clinic into all these different verticals. So I see as Margot Parker in Lovely Lines my entire day's schedule. But then within that one big schedule, so that very first column that you see is my whole schedule. And then I break that out into my injectables patients, my facials patients, my lasers patients, and my consultation patients. So that's where we're going to end up, and we're going to walk you through how to get there, kind of go backward. So in doing that, our first step is to go to your little settings wheel here. I'm going to zoom this screen in so we can see. Let me know, hopefully that's a little bit better. So I'm going to go to my little settings wheel under my appointments tab, if I can get there. And we're going to go to smart configuration. And you'll see on Monday this nice new little bucket here called verticals. So as I mentioned before, whatever you've already built in services is a direct pass-through. So if it's already in services, that's what's going to show up inside of your verticals as you put them on. So there won't be like a way to change it inside of verticals. You got to change it inside the service itself. I think I saw a little chat or a question come up.
It was just me chatting the group.
Perfect. And what's funny is we just did this last week with another group, and it was perfectly clear. I don't know why it's not clear today, but we'll figure that out. Okay, so you're in your configuration with settings here. If we go to verticals, we've already built a whole bunch of verticals. So we're going to just kind of show you ones that have already been built. So as you look at this list, you're going to have to first enable your vertical view. That is step number 1. That will allow you to now see them on the calendar. Because if you build them all and you don't enable the view, it's going to be a little bit less purposeful for you than if you just enable the view. So we'll go with that very first example that we mentioned, which is like the consultation, facials, laser, etc. So as you build these, remember that the idea is clinic and service. So under consultations, we've already built this just to speed things up, TV magic here. I'm going to name it, Maggie all can use verticals. So if you're curious, if you're Essentials or Accelerator, you can all use verticals. It's a free-for-all. So if you're under your verticals here, you can name it something. So we call it consultations. I've only chosen Lovely Lines, and I have no idea, guys, why it's so blurry today. We thought we had this fixed. I've chosen Lovely Lines as my clinic, and then I've chosen a color. So many of you always say, I wish I could have all my injectables to be pink. Well, congratulations, now you can in a vertical. I'm choosing to make it purple, and then I'm putting in all the different types of services that I want to include in that curated booking link for consultations, or that I want to see in my consultations category. So you see these on the list here, and these are both a combination of virtual and in-person. So the patient books for any of these services online, it's going to come into my system, or if I book them over the phone, into my calendar as a consultation in that vertical. So similarly, I'm going to do the same thing again for facials, rinse and repeat. Facials, I have obviously called it that. I've got Lovely Lines, micro needling, etc. inside of my verticals for facials. Now, pop quiz, Victoria. Are you ready for pop quiz?
I'm ready for it.
Could I make another vertical using micro needling?
Negative.
What if I wanted to?
You cannot, because we cannot have the same service in multiple verticals if it's just associated to that specific location.
How could I get around that?
Well, you could. So in our account, for you guys that don't know, so we have Beautiful Aesthetics, we have our virtual clinic, and we have Lovely Lines. So if I wanted to, I could build another vertical specifically for Beautiful Aesthetics, and I could then encompass microneedling, and it would work that way.
Yep. And if you want to keep this exact same plan for all your clinics, so if you've got multi-locations, you could just add it here, just like you do in services. The user experience for you building it is the same as like a regular service. I could put it to all my clinics. So to Victoria's point, if I wanted to use microneedling inside of Lovely Lines somewhere else, it's a no-go. So I could build a new service called Microneedling Series if you wanted to, for those people who are coming back on like a wallet credit, because they're going to be freebies, right? They've already paid for it. I could use that as a new service type and put that in a new vertical of prepayments if I wanted to. Or I could do it for Beautiful Aesthetics totally separate, build a whole new vertical, or I could just add the clinics here that I want to use the same vertical for elsewhere. So in our case, we're just using Lovely Lines. So then our other two, we have the same, again, rinse and repeat, and they're going to all be listed here. So just so you know, they're all listed here in an order. We have a lot because we have multiple different scenarios for you. You won't have this many most likely. And by the way, you can build them and then quit using them. So if you build them for a holiday event, and then you can delete them out. It's not forever. So I think we also have lasers, again, same kind of thing, a separate color, the different types of services. So I think you get the idea that you basically name it something that's logical. You put in the clinic that you want to use, and you put in your services that go with that particular vertical. So as we look at, I'm going to go back to our calendar and give you an overarching look. Whoa, that got really big. Let's go here. So you see now on Margot's calendar, we'll go full screen with that. When I booked for Sarah Jones, this person here at the top, my new patient consult, she books on my Lovely Lines master schedule, so my whole day right here, but then she also goes to the consultations vertical. So she's going to both be in my master schedule, and then she's going to move over to the consultations as well. Now let's say that this is Margot Parker. I'm just a provider. I want to see what the clinic is doing today from a verticals perspective. I can go to my clinic view, and I can look at either the default view, or I'm going to go to my verticals view. Let's see. I'm going to look at let's do consultations today. And I'm going to uncheck a lot of providers. I'm just going to check Jane and Margot. And I see let me go all the way down here, my time. I see for consultations today for Margot and Jane, this is their consultation list. So we're seeing 4 new patients today for consults. Now I might want to say, okay, who's getting injected today? Same kind of thing. I can see for Margot and Jane who's all getting injected today. So they both have 3 and 3, ironically. I can also see for our lasers, if we're doing any lasers today. Oh, just Margot. Jane's asleep on the job over there with lasers. And then lastly, I could see I think it's spa service, facials. I can see on facials what we have here. This could help me to think through if the esthetician should be involved, or if I need to be doing a GFE, for instance, or I might need to have some additional cleanup time if it's cold sculpting and moving people around and different things. So it's kind of a way to view it as an overall planning mechanism as an admin on the calendar view. And I can always go back to just my regular default view, just my normal schedule, and see Margot and Jane's average Joe regular calendar. But you see on this calendar that it's actually coded by the verticals color. Where if I didn't have verticals, it might be that Jane's all pink and Margot's all blue. But because I'm using verticals, I'm seeing their calendars organized out, even in this particular default view, with the vertical color coding already added in. So
yeah, and I was going to say real quick on that one, so I will add one quick thing. So let's say that you have a service, I don't know what we want the service to be. Let's say you have a service and maybe it's not associated with a vertical. Keep in mind that it will then default to the provider schedule's initial color. So if Tiffany's provider schedule is always orange, it would show us orange on the schedule since it's not associated with a specific vertical. So keep that in mind as you're looking through the schedule.
You bet. And for those of you who are chatting in, this is not live yet in your system. So if you're trying to build it with us in real time, it is not there. You're going to have it by Monday. So if you're looking at in your calendar, the location, the services, all those things that are going to happen, right now you can just add your basic services. You're not going to be able to add verticals yet. And just as a quick reminder on that, if you're in your smart configuration setting here and you go to services, you can create one here. So create your services here. You pick your category. So in this case, I might pick facial, I don't know, let's say hydrofacial booster. I don't know, something to make it different. And then I go to my clinics for locations, providers, etc., duration. So I can start a new service here that would then now be available to go to a different vertical if I wanted to make it part of another subset of verticals. So hopefully, Teresa, that helped a little bit, but you don't have this live, so if you're trying to build it with us, you're going to be disappointed because it's not in there quite yet. So I'm going to go back to my verticals and look at a different scenario. So we're going to change up our calendar date, and I'm going to go to a different clinic. So on Saturdays, Margot works at Beautiful Aesthetics. So we're going to look at her calendar on Saturdays. So when she goes to her Saturday date, we're going to go from Lovely Lines to Beautiful Aesthetics. And at this clinic, they organize it by rooms. So they have very specific rooms that do very specific things. So for instance, they know that in room 2, they have their cold sculpting machine. Excuse me. They do some of their weight loss. I'm sorry, not weight loss. They do some of their other consultations and things in room 3 with weight loss, with medical IVs. Room 1 is all injectables. So they've kind of got their rooms set up for certain services. So as Margot looks at her day at Beautiful Aesthetics on Saturday, she wants to kind of know how she's going to be bouncing around all day, where she's going to be, what she's going to be doing, and how that breaks out. So for this particular example, for Margot, we have her entire list of appointments here. And JT, you can pop that to a full screen if you want. We see all of her appointments. And then we also see room 1, room 2, room 3. So for her, we've made each room a specific set of services that are booked for that room. Now the patient, again, to the example before, would never see this. The patient's going to go on and book weight loss consultation, none the wiser. But when it comes into my booking system, it's going to put that thing automatically into room 3, which is where I do weight loss consultations. So, because I am Margot, just FYI. My pseudonym. If I write a book, it's going to be under Margot Parker. So let's look at, for these 3, we have the ability to double book. So another fun thing to look at here is we have for cold sculpting in room 2, she's going to be doing that from 11 to, let's see, 12:30. So that's a long time for her to sit around and do nothing. But I can see now in my double booking that I'm booked with a B12 shot and an IV. That's an easy one, right? I put the person on cold sculpting, let them be for the hour and 15 minutes. I go over and do a B12 shot really quickly. I start an IV really quickly. And we kind of have this easy to manage or easy to view schedule. So it's like the double booking for me gets very confusing on that single column. So I look at some of your schedules and you're like double booked all day long. Like, how do you see anything on this schedule? I have no idea. But now with this, you could organize it out to see, okay, I'm booked for cold sculpting and I'm waiting around. Let me do a filler, let me do a toxin, let me do an IV. So it kind of makes it easier for you to see, and for the clinic person, like the front desk girl or whoever, to see as they check patients in where you need to be going. So this one's an easy one for me. I think that the room organization makes it real simple to do. And Victoria, I don't know if you've seen much on this and what your thoughts are for the rooms, but I feel like this one's a sure bet, easy win.
Yeah, I definitely think that the room usage, because I know that that's something I hear frequently, is that you'd like to be able to see, you know, what's going on in each room and where do I have to shuffle to, things like that. So I think that that'll definitely be, you know, a big hit with the verticals, and then obviously separating by injectables, consultations, etc.
And there are some things that are going to come before too long around rooms and assignments and things, but they're just not there yet. So just know we are feverishly, the word I would use, feverishly working on building a whole lot of stuff right now, like a whole lot of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Now, let's say that we're going down this road, we're doing our rooms. So just to kind of see that in the configuration wizard, if you go to your verticals, I have listed those here under room 1, room 2, room 3. So you see them here. I have my color. Now, again, if I wanted to organize my Lovely Lines clinic in the exact same way, like identical same way, I can just go over here and pop in Lovely Lines and do that. The issue for you right now is that if I try to do it, these things are part of other, oh, see? Can't do it. All those things that are listed here are telling you, no, 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 sister. You've already got all these procedures on another vertical. You can't book them in 2 places because we won't know where to put them. So I can't do it. But let's say I didn't have that Lovely Lines. I'm just going to clone it, if you will. It would be fine. But for now, you get the error message. So that actually helps you to not get the calendar all kinds of crazy confused, and so that things stay smooth. But you see here room 1 and 2, room 3. And then our last one I'm going to show you, which I think is probably my favorite because you guys know I'm like a numbers nerd and I like to make money, is going to be our revenue type. So this one to me is an important one. So I'm going to go to Sunday, and I have my day on Sunday for Margot Parker booked out by the way I'm going to make my money, because I want to know if I'm going to have a good revenue day on Sunday or if it's going to be a freebie day, because this is not a charity. I'm not running a 501c3, but by the looks of this, I might just be. So if you look at Margot's calendar, she has Beautiful Aesthetics, obviously her main calendar here, and then she has promotions and events. She also has follow-ups. She has free consults and Instagram referrals. So the problem with Margot's day on Sunday is that promotions and events are prepayments that we already paid for on Black Friday. So those are going to be all freebies for her, unless she can be creative and upsell and cross-sell. So that's a free day. Follow-ups are going to be her 2 weeks. So no one's buying anything there unless she's actively trying to promote it, right? On the free consults, inherently, they're free. And then lastly, the Instagram referrals are going to be a discounted option because they're coming to my clinic through my Instagram referral link, my Instagram vertical. So maybe I'm giving them a $20 off fee each time, or half off to get started. So in this particular case, it's very helpful to see from a revenue production standpoint as like a clinic admin. On Sunday, we're basically going to make no money in the current scenario. If we don't sell anything else to anybody when they come in, we're going to make no money. It's all been prepaid. Or for the referrals, we're going to actually have discounts instead of making actual money. So it's a way to organize that particular process. So I'm going to go dig into these verticals. I think it's important to see how that might look on the promotions and events perspective. So I'm going to go to my configuration wizard again and look at my verticals. And so if you're going to take us back full screen, JT, I'm going to look at promotions and events. And so what I did is during my Black Friday sales, I went ahead and built services for Black Friday. And I know that we had, a massive, crazy big Black Friday event. Everyone bought everything. But I've got to now anniversary all that money and actually perform the services. So I went ahead and booked all those patients in to a service that was called Black Friday something. So in our case here, we have Black Friday cold sculpting, we have Black Friday filler, we have Black Friday toxin, Black Friday genius. So if they bought on a Black Friday promo, they were sent a link, right, a vertical link called promotions and events to book a Black Friday version of the service, which means when they booked that Black Friday toxin, it came into my calendar as a Black Friday toxin. So the patient both confirms, like, oh, I have the Black Friday deal, but also on the calendar, we're confirming it too because we're booking them under a Black Friday category. So that's one way to do it there with events. Same for an injectable day, you could do the exact same idea. The other thing that I think is important here is on the Instagram version. So many of you do these great IG deals, which I think are fantastic, but you need to be able to on your calendar quickly see that Victoria's here on an IG deal. She's an IG patient. So I've made a vertical called Instagram referrals, and I have it here, beautiful aesthetics, and then I've got my different treatments that are IG specific. So for that particular vertical, that's how it looks on the designing of it, and then again on my calendar, you're gonna see it right here. And you'll see that particular subset of patients who are under Instagram. So the good news is for Margot, if I were to book, let's see, we can go back and see what time it is, hold on. So for Margot, bless her sweet soul, she has nothing happening all day money-wise, but she could book a profitable appointment here at 10:30, at 11:30. So she's got some gaps in her schedule that she could just book a regular IPL or whatever else it is. It's just a normal procedure that makes money for her. And you see here, like with this hydrofacial, it's not part of a vertical. It's an actual revenue-producing event, as is this one here. So she's got a few things there that are revenue-producing that don't belong to a vertical, and they're on her master schedule. Everything else that belongs to a vertical shows up on a vertical. And it's important to note that if you don't book anything on a vertical for that day, the vertical doesn't show up. So if I didn't book a follow-up at all for Margot on Sunday, we would not see a follow-up column at all. We only see the column when that service that connects to that vertical is actually booked. So there could be days where I only have my main calendar and free consults, and that's it. Everything else is like a regular appointment because nothing else is tied to a vertical. So it's not an all or nothing kind of thing. You can pick and choose. I'm going to go to the links in a second, Victoria, but what have I forgotten on this that you think is important for us to share?
I think as we were thinking and talking through the Instagram referrals, I know a lot of our clients actually, they have influencer programs. So this would also be a great way to, track that as well. I know, or if you have VIPs, maybe you send them a vertical booking link so that it's different from all the other ones. So I think, if you use this almost as a badging mechanism, if you will, that would allow you to properly identify, a VIP coming in, and if you have an influencer coming in, it'll be easy to identify them. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. So if you're doing like a local fitness center, I know we have a lot of like Lululemon relationships or your local F45, you could make a link just for that group that they share out on their newsletters, they share out on their text messaging. So when they book the F45 version, which has an inherent discount with it that you're going to know coming in, oh, today my entire patient list is referrals from F45. So it's a way to kind of do your referrals as well. We had a question come in about if you could use verticals to have like mature skin, dry skin, etc. So these are based on service types. So unless you have an appointment called dry skin, you can't make a vertical for it. So the verticals are specifically geared toward a service. So you could have, obviously, your skincare consultation, which could be the vertical, but unless the patient knows online to book for a dry skin consult, it probably wouldn't make sense for you to have a vertical that says dry skin or that says mature skin. Now, if you're a skincare only clinic, it might be a little bit different for you because they're coming to you with that sort of as their chief complaint. But think about it more as like the vertical would be a skincare consult. And then from that, I'm going to decide what kind of patient they're going to be, obviously like in my note taking, etc. So, do we have any chats? I think I saw a chat coming through too.
No, I think I might be having an audio issue. Can you hear me okay, Tiffany?
I can, but we're hearing that it's audio, that it's horrible, so.
It's a little muffled or something. So JT, maybe you can work some magic back there.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to show you the next part of the verticals while we get her ready to go on the audio. So the part that I think is most compelling for the booking perspective is if you go again to your smart configuration. Let's say you want to do this Instagram thing like right now. I put an Instagram link, well not right now, on Monday, on my booking link tree or on my link tree on Instagram immediately. If you go into your same place configuration wizard, we're going to go full screen on this, and I'm going to go to my booking portal as I always would for any other kind of a link. Under your booking portal, what you're going to see now is your normal links that you would always see. But then as you scroll down, you're going to see your vertical links. So I have the vertical name and then URL. So I've got injectables, consultations, facials, lasers. And please note these are demo links, so they're very long and crazy. Yours won't say elastic beanstalk on them, I promise. But let's look at, for the IG right here, I'm going to click on that link. And when I get into my booking portal and I go to in-person, I only have Beautiful Aesthetics and I only have my Instagram services. So that's an example of how I've taken my entire list of services and said, no, for Instagram I offer 3 discounts offered on toxin, filler, and microneedling. I'm going to curate from my link tree only those services on like a promotional day. So that's one way you could do it. And then the other would be, so if I'm going to go back here, actually let me book one of those and just show you how it looks in the calendar now. So when I go through and book it, we're going to go to Margot and we're going to go to the 31st and we're going to give her a 6 p.m. So we'll put in a dummy person, ap@ar.com. Remember the 6 o'clock. We booked her for 6 o'clock in the morning, or afternoon, not morning.
That would be an early one.
And let's see if I've got a phone number somewhere. I've got my phone handy. Do not fear. My OTP code. Nothing like doing it on the fly, right? 809-931. Whoops. 809-931. So I'm going to go through just like I would always do for booking. Patient experience is nothing different. When I complete it out, which I'm on a demo account, so it may not actually work to complete. I'm not entirely sure. That could be the issue. But let's say that I was not in a demo account and I was in a real account. Once I complete my booking, back in my calendar, you would see on Margot's calendar, it would come in immediately under Instagram, that vertical with my, whatever it was, toxin or filler already booked at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's an instant thing for the calendar. Now again, I'm on a demo account, which is not really connected to things in real life, but you get the point. Same for the booking rooms. I may never want to ever show this, ever. I never want to send out a room number 2 vertical link. That'd be kind of silly. But what happens is when I send out my regular link, this one, for Lovely Lines, or whatever the clinic is, when the patient does their normal activity of booking for toxin, they come through automatically on my calendar as room number 1 because I have that service tied to room number 1. So again, in this instance, the patient sees nothing different. They experience booking as they've always experienced it in your clinic. But on the back end, we organize it for you like, Botox, room number 1. Oh, cool sculpting, room number 2. We're doing the traffic engineering for you, and the patient has to do nothing different, nor do you. It just automatically puts them into the right bucket, which is why you can't have multiple services that are multiple, the one service that is the same in multiple verticals, because I don't know where to put the engineering version, the traffic version. If you have many services, many verticals, they're all the same. It gets kind of convoluted. So note that. But if we look at this verticals link here, the more you build, the more you're going to have. But again, remember, if I'm going to kill something off, I can just delete the vertical. So if I go to, let's say in our case, we're like, you know what? The holiday promo, it's over with. That's dead to me now. We've moved on. I can go here and just delete it, and it all goes away, which means the vertical goes away, the link goes away, but the appointments inside of it don't go away. They just get put on the master calendar. So if Margot has 15 different things booked for this particular vertical, and I delete the vertical, no harm, no foul. It just goes to Margot's regular calendar, not any vertical, on her regular her regular color, provider color, and nothing else changes. So don't panic if you delete a vertical of like, oh my God, they're all gone. They're not. They're just now on the master schedule. So I'm sure I forgot things, Victoria. Feel free to hop on in there, and I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint deck too, just to give a few examples if you're ready for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So let me get I can't talk. Swapped. I'm trying to say swapped, guys. I promise. Okay. So what else can you do? So we've talked about these quite a bit as we've looked at them. We can do our training or demo day. So for me, I am a training diva. I love to see people training other people all the time. It's, part of Instagram world every day. This is a perfect scenario if you are a trainer. So if Victoria runs her regular clinic on Saturday, but she also has a trainee coming in to shadow her, she can book model verticals or model days so that the models who are coming in only get the model booking link. When the model books, they're not put on the master schedule like as a regular person. They're put on the model vertical or the training vertical. so that I know immediately that Victoria is a model for training and Sarah is an actual patient getting a legit procedure that she's paying full price for. So if you're a trainer, get this ASAP and book out your model days or trainer days versus your regular patient days, because it'll make it very clear for you what you're doing on Saturday. And again, it doesn't show up unless you have that kind of a patient. So if you don't train M through F, no worries, you won't see it. If you train Saturday and Sunday, only on those 2 days will you see the model booking link come through as a vertical, because no one's booking that on Monday, right? They're booking it on Saturday. So you can use them only when you need them, because if they're not booking for it, it won't show up. The others, like the injection day only booking. So if you're doing like a Dysport day, put in your promotional newsletter that link for the holiday promotion only or the Dysport vertical only, and have them book that service only, so they don't get distracted with other things. So if it's on that day, it's only Dysport all day long, nothing else but Dysport all day long, then lock them in on that day to just that booking link with your Dysport options. Organize your clinic for referral sources. So you saw Instagram example, Linktree, Facebook booking. Also, surgical versus or OR versus clinic time. That's a big one. We hear a lot from nurses. I'm supporting my surgeon, and I'm also supporting our medical spa, and I'm going back and forth, and I'm like going crazy. This would allow you to say from 8 to noon, I'm in the surgical suite. From 1 to 5, I'm in the medical clinic, or I'm sorry, the med spa, because I can see on my calendar the distinct change there in my schedule. And then the other, obviously, to match your website layout, I can do body contouring links, I can do Dysport, toxin, 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝘀 links, I can do my spa services for just the esthetician in a link. And then lastly, Victoria, you explained this one so well with the providers who are going back and forth and supporting multiple physical locations. Walk us through that. I think this is a really big bonus too.
Yeah, definitely. So this is so the situation we're kind of referencing right now is, let's say that you support multiple locations, but maybe you're running your own business, for example. So if you have a med spa that you potentially drive to, it might be 5 minutes down the road, or it could be on the opposite side of the building, and you're seeing patients on both sides. So the issue in the past was that you'd have to build multiple clinics to know which location you were at, and multiple provider schedules. But we know, logistically speaking, in our system, you can only be at one place at a time. So the benefit now is that you build one provider schedule, which is great. And then if you have your vertical for, I don't know, maybe you're working at a hair salon one day, or what are those? We were talking
like
about it last night.
Solar
salon.
You own a little room. You have your little
You own,
injection room.
exactly. So let's say that you potentially have, a room there, and then you maybe float at another either location inside of that building, or it's a 5-minute drive for you. So you build 2 verticals, one for each, and then you can use those specific booking URLs so that patients are booking to that vertical. So that when you look at your schedule, you build one provider schedule, but it's separated out per vertical, which is technically per location, without actually building a separate clinic. So I have worked with quite a few, nurse practitioners that kind of have a setup like that they're running around and they're like, but I need one provider schedule because I can make it in between, due to appointment time. So that'll definitely be a way that you can certainly use verticals. It will allow you to easily set up your schedule and then easily see from the calendar view where you need to go and what time. So
we had a question come in while you were talking about, can you see verticals in the calendar view for the clinic? And I pulled up my screen to show you that. So if you are in your default view, because I'm a provider, obviously I'm Margo Parker, in my default view I see my verticals, right? I see what I'm doing for the day, which is my master schedule and then my different 4 verticals. But if I were to click on clinic view, I have my default view, which again, I have crazy times on here. I have my default view, but then I also have the ability to go to that specific vertical. So I want to look at just my facials. So whoever I have on the calendar for that day on the schedule who has a facial would have it obviously showing up here. So if I have Jane, Margo, and 6 others, I could just scroll to the left, obviously, or to the right. It'd show all the providers who are on the schedule for that day. And if they have a facial booked in that vertical, you'd see it here. I can also swap it out for, let's say, my injectables. So you can see them here based on whatever the vertical is that you want to look at for that day. You just go select it here and you can check it out. So I think we've got some under, is it lasers. Yep. So like in this case, only Margot is working on lasers for this day. So you just go to your clinic view up here and you change whatever you want the vertical to be. And again, in our case today, we've put a lot of verticals in because we're doing 3 different clinics and 3 very different setups. So you probably wouldn't have this many verticals that are this different. So you wouldn't have to go click through quite as many. But your default view is your regular schedule. I see Margot and Jane as usual. So I want to see them all at the same time. I have my little verticals legend over here. So I can see right now consultations are purple. I can see that facials are this green colors. I can also just do a snapshot glance to say, okay, Jane's got a lot of facials today. She's really busy on facials. Or, oh, Margot has to use the lasers today, so she's going to make sure she's got the laser room all cleaned up and ready to go because she's going to be in there, a couple times today. So I can see them all together here, which includes both my vertical view of all the verticals appointments that are listed and also just a regular non-vertical. So let's say that Jane had a medical follow-up here. Not part of vertical that we're looking at, but it's a medical, a medical appointment on her calendar. I would see it here as like a regular appointment, but I see the verticals and the regular stuff all together in this view. But your little legend here is helpful to see what the colors are so that you can, quickly at a glance say, okay, I know that pink is laser, got it. She's doing some laser. So it's really helpful, I think, as the front desk person, the check-in person's kind of organizing patient traffic and patient flow. If you're looking at the rooms especially, because you can see what all is happening in room 1 for that day. So although you're not booking the room 1 as a resource, you're seeing what all kinds of things are happening in that room on that day. So yes, to the question, it is possible to see them all in a clinic view. Alrighty, what else do we have on questions? We're at the end of our time together. I'm sure there are questions, I have no doubt. But you're going to, as we leave you here today, you're going to have a few more updates next week around the schedule that I think you're going to find very beneficial. I should say the next 10 days. It should be next week, but Victoria will kill me if it's not next week and I've made a promise on a webinar. But stay tuned for some features next week that I think you're going to really like and find a lot of value with. But in the meantime, go play with verticals. You'll get it Monday. We'll put a big announcement out on Instagram. So if you follow us on Instagram, look for that announcement that, hey, verticals is live. So you can start playing with it. And then as you have questions or you've got a success story or you find it very helpful for your clinic, let us know. Shoot us a note. Give us an example. Tell us what you're doing. We can share it with our, with the rest of our customer base and like a good best practice. We'd love to get more involved in how your clinic is working specifically, and so we can take that information and share it with others who might be struggling with the same kind of issue. So, Victoria, what do you have to say as we part our ways here today?
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear about all the success stories. So I'm excited for you all to use this. I know that, we've spent a lot of time developing and putting this in, but we think that it'll be, very, very helpful on your day-to-day usage of the calendar. But we are just excited to get everyone using it. So
absolutely, and we'll have some articles out on our learning portal, our learning lab. We'll also probably do a shortened video for this, like a little 5-minute tutorial, so that you don't have to watch the entire webinar if you don't want to. So if you forget how to do it, you can go back to like a little tutorial video that we'll put into our AR Academy. So look for that coming soon as well. You'll have that out in the learning lab, and then obviously you can always chat us if you have a question. We'll be happy to answer it there too. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your Thursday, and we will see you guys all next week for hopefully a few more new, exciting announcements to show.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
see you next
next week.
Bye.